Welcome to today's video, where we dive into a story of love, betrayal, and heartbreak. Imagine building a life from the ground up, working tirelessly to create a successful tech security company. Joel Parker did just that. In his early 30s, he was a self-made man with a thriving business, Brightway Solutions, and a future that seemed limitless. But after years of hard work, Joel was ready for something more. He wanted to settle down, find a partner to share his life with, and in Patricia, he thought he had found the one. She was everything he'd dreamed of: charming, kind, with a smile that could light up any room. They quickly fell in love, and after a year of dating, Joel proposed, certain he had found his soulmate. But little did he know, the woman he trusted would soon shatter his world in a way he could never have imagined. Stay tuned, because this is where the story takes a dark turn. Joel and Patricia's relationship started like a fairy tale. For a year they were inseparable, enjoying the highs of new love. Patricia's warmth and charm were undeniable. She had an infectious smile that seemed to light up every room they walked into. Joel, deeply in love, found himself drawn to her kindness and the way she made him feel truly seen. She supported his ambitions, laughed at his jokes, and made him believe that they were destined to build a life together. Every moment with her felt like a piece of a puzzle falling into place, and before long, Joel was certain she was the one. Their connection seemed so perfect that after just a year of dating, he knew it was time to take the next step. He proposed, thinking he was securing a future filled with love and happiness. But little did he know, the woman he trusted with his heart had a secret that would soon unravel everything. After their wedding, things slowly began to shift in a way that Joel couldn't quite understand. At first it was subtle. Patricia seemed a little more tired, a little more stressed, but he chalked it up to the natural adjustment that comes with married life. They were both navigating a new chapter, and Joel thought perhaps this was just part of the transition. But soon, Patricia's behavior became more noticeable. She began withdrawing from him in ways that made Joel feel like he was losing her. She would often say she was too tired to spend time together or that she had a lot on her mind, giving him excuses to avoid their usual closeness. Joel, still madly in love, brushed off the growing distance, convincing himself that it was just a phase. He didn't want to seem overbearing or paranoid, so he gave her space, hoping that things would return to normal. But as the weeks passed, the distance between them only seemed to grow. She became more secretive, often disappearing with little explanation. Patricia spent more time on her phone, her interactions with Joel growing more distant and cold. Even when she was home, she felt like a stranger to him. At first, Joel tried to ignore the growing, nagging feeling in the pit of his stomach, convincing himself that it was nothing. But the changes became harder to ignore, and deep down, Joel couldn't shake the suspicion that something was terribly wrong. He wanted to believe in her, to trust her, but every instinct was telling him something was off. It wasn't until much later, after Joel decided to take matters into his own hands, that the truth would come crashing down on him. One evening, Joel's friend Matthew stopped by for a casual drink, but as soon as he walked in, he noticed the tension in the air. Patricia's cold demeanor was hard to ignore, and it didn't sit well with Matthew. Pulling Joel aside, he whispered, "Hey man, something feels off here. Are you sure everything is okay with you and Patricia?" Joel tried to brush it off, defending her, saying she was just stressed and needed time to adjust. But Matthew's words stuck with him, planting a seed of doubt that Joel could no longer ignore. Desperate for answers, Joel decided to take drastic measures. He installed hidden cameras around the house, hoping to catch a glimpse of what was really going on. He also placed a small tracker on Patricia's car, convinced that he was just protecting his marriage. What he found, however, was more than he could ever have prepared for. One evening, Joel sat down to review the footage, hoping for nothing more than a glimpse of the everyday routine he had come to know. But as he watched, his heart sank. There, on the screen, was Patricia opening the front door for a man he didn't recognize. A tall, broad-shouldered stranger. The way they greeted each other, the warmth she had denied him, made Joel's blood run cold. He watched in horror as Patricia embraced the man before leading him upstairs to their bedroom. The painful truth hit Joel like a punch to the gut. Patricia was cheating on him, in the very home they had built together. Joel couldn't tear himself away from the footage, each video revealing more of Patricia's betrayal. What started as a single, shocking encounter soon turned into a pattern. Multiple meetings between Patricia and her lover, each more blatant than the last. Joel watched as they laughed, shared intimate moments, and walked hand in hand through the house he had worked so hard to build. His heart broke with every new clip, each one confirming what he feared most. The woman he had loved, the woman he thought was his soulmate, had been living a double life. The pain was unbearable, but even worse was the internal battle raging within him. Part of Joel still clung to the hope that maybe, just maybe, things could still be salvaged, that Patricia would come clean, apologize, and they could somehow rebuild their relationship. But deep down, he knew the truth was right in front of him. The trust had been shattered beyond repair, and no amount of hope could change what he had seen. Despite the heartbreak, Joel made the painful decision to confront the truth and face the painful reality that their marriage was over. One morning, as Joel sipped his coffee and prepared for work, a loud knock at the door shattered his thoughts. When he opened it, he was stunned to find two police officers standing there, their faces stern. Behind them stood Patricia, her arms crossed, a cold, calculating look in her eyes. "Mr. Parker, we need to talk to you," one officer said, his tone more serious than Joel had ever expected. Before he could respond, Patricia calmly accused him of a crime, claiming he had forced himself on her. Joel was blindsided, struggling to comprehend what was happening. He turned to Patricia, looking for some sign of remorse or explanation, but she showed none, only a cruel satisfaction. It felt like his world was collapsing. But Joel, though shaken, remained calm. He remembered the security cameras he had installed and knew they held the key to revealing the truth. "I have security cameras throughout the house," he said, his voice steady. "I can show you the recordings." He led the officers to his office, where they watched the footage together. As the videos played, the truth was clear. Patricia had welcomed her lover into their home, and the evening they spent together the night before had been entirely consensual. The officers' expressions hardened as the lies unraveled before their eyes. They turned to Patricia, their voices stern. "Ma'am, you have some serious explaining to do." Faced with undeniable evidence, Patricia's facade crumbled, and she realized her plan had failed. The officers left without arresting Joel, but the damage had already been done. Patricia's deceit was exposed, and her lies had nowhere to hide. After the police left, Joel's heart was still racing, but he knew what he had to do. Alone with Patricia, he couldn't hold back any longer. He confronted her, showing her the security footage of her betrayal, of her welcoming her lover into their home, of the intimate moments she had shared with him in the very space Joel had built for their life together. "It's over, Patricia," Joel said, his voice steady but filled with pain. Patricia's face twisted with shock and regret. She tried to apologize, begging for forgiveness, promising that things could change, that they could somehow fix what had been broken. But Joel wasn't moved. The lies, the deceit, the betrayal, it was too much. He had finally seen her true colors, and he had no intention of going back. "No, it's done," he replied, the finality in his words unmistakable. Weeks later, the divorce was finalized. Patricia walked away with nothing. No marriage, no love, and no future with the man she had once promised her life to. As for Joel, he moved forward, rebuilding his life and finding the strength to leave the past behind. He had learned the hard way that sometimes letting go is the only way to truly move on. After the divorce was finalized, Patricia, left with nothing, turned to the man she had betrayed Joel for, hoping he would take her in and offer her the stability she had lost. But when she arrived at his apartment, her heart sank as she found the door locked and a new name on the mailbox. Her former lover had already moved on, and worse yet, he was married to another woman. The man who had once promised her a future had discarded her just as easily as she had discarded Joel. In that moment, Patricia was forced to confront the full extent of her betrayal. The lies, the manipulation, the selfishness. It had all been for nothing. She had traded the love and trust of a man who had given her everything for fleeting moments of false security, only to be left alone and empty. The harsh truth settled in, and Patricia realized the depth of her mistake. She had lost not only Joel, but her own sense of worth, and in her desperation, she had nothing to show for it but regret. As for Joel, he slowly began to rebuild his life, stronger and wiser from the painful experience. The betrayal had shattered him, but over time, he learned valuable lessons about trust, self-worth, and the importance of setting boundaries. He realized that true love isn't about blind devotion, but about mutual respect and honesty. Joel understood that sometimes, letting go of someone who no longer values you is the hardest but most necessary step toward healing. This experience also taught him the importance of trusting his instincts and not ignoring the red flags that were there all along. As he moved forward, Joel found peace within himself, knowing he had done everything he could to make the relationship work. The wounds of betrayal would always linger, but they no longer defined him. Instead, they became the foundation for his personal growth, and Joel emerged from the ashes of his past with a renewed sense of clarity and strength, ready for the next chapter of his life. In this story, we witness Joel's painful journey of betrayal by the woman he loved, Patricia, who, despite promising him a future, chose to deceive him and ultimately caused their marriage to fall apart. Through hidden cameras, Joel discovered the truth of her infidelity, and while the shock and heartbreak were overwhelming, he eventually found the strength to confront her and move on. The experience taught him the power of trusting oneself, the importance of setting boundaries, and how personal growth can emerge from even the most painful situations. Betrayal can break us, but it also has the potential to rebuild us, making us stronger, wiser, and more resilient. If you enjoyed this story and the lessons it offers, please like, share, and subscribe for more insightful and powerful stories. Remember, no matter what life throws your way, you have the power to rise, grow, and find your freedom.